podcast. As you look at the second round series, all of them, is there one or more than one that you would say, this team is done? I've only seen one game. I don't need to see any more. They are done. They have no shot.
At risk of upsetting Laker Nation.
Done.
Cooked. Maybe LeBron gets them a game, but think about how great of a game LeBron had last night. He got off early, and I think he was like 11 to 16 from the field. He got some pick sixes. He did all the big and little things, and they got beat by damn near 20. Like, that's best case scenario, and you were down 9 or something like that at the half, and it's an analogy I want to make, but it wouldn't be suitable until after the break, and you guys will probably say, you should have said it. But I'm not going to make it here because I don't want to get fired.
What a tease.
Oh, God, yeah. It's great for off the record. But it ain't happening here. But no, I just, Austin Reeves was, 3 of 16?
He was terrible.
Last night. Luka Doncic doesn't appear to be coming back anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had one of his worst games in the playoffs in the past 3 years, and they almost won by 20.
Cooked. Let's go to the other side of the coin, though. The New York Knicks have really hit their stride. They're looking excellent. Oh no, you say that with a little. It's not. You sound annoyed almost by the New York Knicks hitting their stride.
I'm not annoyed by the Knicks. The Knicks are fine. I'm annoyed by Knick fan.
Go on.
Really, keep
please,
going.
The floor is
I'm
yours,
not a Knicks fan,
Vince.
but I know one.
We know a few.
Knick fan is so annoying. They're so nose in the air as if the last time they won a championship wasn't before the ABA-NBA merger. I would say act like you've been somewhere before, but you ain't never been nowhere.
That is true. They are very loud. But Mike Brown, tactically, he's been doing some things that have been excellent. What stuck out to you the most, and why was this the right move to move on from Tom Thibodeau and bring Mike Brown in?
Well, for one, you fired Tom Thibodeau because you wanted to. We try to make these things out to be, he failed at this, and his players didn't like him, and he ran his players to the ground. All those things could be true. But ultimately, when an owner fires a coach that gets a team to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, you do it because you want to. And you hired a coach in Mike Brown who has been more collaborative, who credits his assistants all the time and says, this is my offensive coordinator, this is my defensive coordinator. I feel like I was in a Bill Parcells football tree as much as he mentions his assistants, and I know who these coordinators are.
Yeah.
But it just shows what a collaborative process this has been. Granted, y'all, second round of the playoffs. We're not in June yet. But I will say that the way that they played the past 4 or 5 games has validated a lot of people's concerns from the last regime into this one, and the way that they have romped through. And granted, once again, one game, but I don't think I've seen this team look this good for this long since I started being around them.
Ooh, on the other side of that, a team like the 76ers who just battled it out with the Celtics in 7 to get into this spot where they're now in the second round. We brought up something from Jay Will earlier that he said on First Take yesterday. And Evan, correct me if I'm not phrasing this properly, but it was about Joel Embiid and whether the 76ers can win a championship with him. That's the correct way that he phrased it. Are we looking too much at game 1? Is there something here that is a sign of a bigger problem other than history, Vinny?
I mean, history, we got a pretty big sample size on what history looks like with Joel Embiid. And he has debunked a little bit of that history of how he played in the last 3 games against the Boston Celtics, particularly Game 7, when we know that he's hurting. But he's always hurting. The people who say, what will Joel Embiid, what will the 76ers be if he's healthy? You can't ask that question because he always looks like I'm coming home to you, Elizabeth. I swear he looks like that every time he gets off the floor. So you can't factor help into the equation or assume that you're going to have best case scenario. But I will say, in this particular series, this is styles makes fights. When you are trying to force feed Joel Embiid the ball early, and you're trying to get Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble, you know what happens? You negate Tyrese Maxey. You negate VJ Edgecombe. Those guys are your future, but they're also your present. And your team advantage is team speed and athleticism. And if you're trying to will the ball down there to him, you're slowing the game down, and you're basically making those guys wallflowers. I don't know if that I don't know if Joel Embiid, with this iteration of the 76ers and this team, if this is a great fit for a championship. Granted, they could win tonight and still home court advantage and make me look like a damn fool. So, anything could happen.
Was the 3-1 deficit for Detroit a good thing?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because if you've never experienced anything, you got to go through some adversity beyond, man, we were a team that lost 28 straight games 2 years ago. Like, you don't want that to be the only source of adversity. And going down 3-1 and then rebounding the way, they weren't just down 3-1, guys. They were down 3.6 games to 2 at halftime of Game 6. So I tend to believe that when you play elimination game after elimination game after elimination game, you find out what you got. You find out what you're made of as far as a franchise, as far as individual teams, individual players. I mean, as far as your coach. And what you saw last night was a team that's not afraid of, oh man, we were up 11, we were up 17, and now they've come back on us. You didn't see them scare, you didn't see them buckle. And I think look, it's always a good thing when you win the next game. The results dictate those things.
Speaking of adversity, it seems to find James Harden in the postseason. Ooh. Can you explain this? 633 postseason turnovers in his career.
I mean, he's played a lot, for one. Mm-hmm. The stat that gets me the most is there's more games. I want to say more games. There's maybe 45 games, I think, where he has more turnovers than field goals. That's, for someone who handles the ball as much as he does, for someone who is genuinely regular season excellent. Granted, he's in year, 17 now. All these dudes are old, so I'm not going to expect him to buck his own history. But it's tough when that's what you rely on. It's tough when he's the main ball handler. Like, he had 2 plays against Cade Cunningham yesterday. One was a backcourt violation because he just wasn't paying attention. Another one was where Cade stripped him at the three-point line, and it wound up going, it's like a full court dunk. Like, those are plays that can't happen, when you're supposed to be sure-handed with the ball. And at some point, you are what your record says you are.
Vin, what do you make of the flop discourse? Because it got really, really loud this week from Jaylen Brown and his comments after the 76ers beat the Celtics, to Joel Embiid responding to it, Donovan Mitchell getting into it last night. Why are we at this point?
Well, it was expensive for Jaylen Brown because it cost him $50,000. I don't know about you, but if I get a $50,000 fine, like, that changes my life.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Doesn't change it. That's drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's a Friday night in Boston somewhere. I don't know exactly where in Boston, but maybe that's a Friday night somewhere. I think what he said after the what you say after the series and what you say during the series are two different things. When you're saying it after the series, you're venting, you're frustrated, whatever it is. When you're saying it during the series, it's gamesmanship. You're trying to set up the play for the next game. Donovan Mitchell hasn't gotten to the line as much over the course of the last 4 or 5 games. And you're talking about a 6'1" guard who's built stocky and everything else, so he's going and absorbing contact and he's not getting the calls. Secondarily, we don't want a parade to the free throw line. As fans and observers, we don't want that in the playoffs. We get enough of that in the regular season. We get 3-pointers and free throws. Like, we want a little more room for physicality. I will say, there's one person I don't want to hear this stuff from as far as flopping and free throws. It's the guy the night after you get eliminated, after you blow a 3-1 lead. Right. Because it sounds like you're not being intellectually honest about why your team lost the way that they lost.
Final thing here.
Yeah.
You're more interested tonight in watching Wemby or Ant?
Ooh, that's unfair. I'm going to be at Madison Square Garden. I am looking forward to seeing the New York Knicks. Go New York. No, Ant. Because Ant is just so compelling. The fact that Ant is so unserious in every other space, but then in the post game, he says, you know what, I miss blockouts. He came out and said in the game that he won, his team won in large part because he came back and played well. He's like, man, I miss these blockouts. I can't be making these mistakes. Anthony Edwards has taken out Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, all in the past 2 years in the playoffs. That is a Hall of Fame level of, I'm a sniper. What happens if you take out the young new sniper?
Oh,
I love it.
Vincent Goodwill, ESPN senior NBA writer. You'll see him
like
on
what is the Catholic Church? Am I like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit?
You'll see him on Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern. First Take, of course, as well as the Hoop Collective podcast. Always a pleasure and always interesting. You taking shots at Knicks fans all over the place. That's fascinating.
I'll never hear from that again.
Never.
Man.
Now, I don't think you'll hear from anyone specifically about that one. Anyway, I know what I hear when I